Learning English is more than just a skill. It's a doorway to a world of opportunities. Many people struggle with English, but the truth is, anyone can improve. Even if they're just starting out, you don't need to be perfect. All you need is determination. It's about the journey from being unsure of yourself to speaking with confidence. This is the story of how one person took that journey in just 7 days. When you first start, English can seem like a mountain. Every word feels foreign. Every sentence a challenge. But if you listen, you begin to understand. Listening is the key. It's the secret that unlocks the door to fluency. As you hear more, your mind starts to recognize patterns. This is where the magic happens. The more you listen, the more your brain absorbs without even realizing it. A year ago, I couldn't speak English confidently. I was afraid of making mistakes. I avoided speaking because I felt embarrassed. It wasn't just a language barrier. It was a barrier of self-doubt. I knew I needed to change. I decided that I would take 7 days to improve, to learn how to speak without fear. Every day I would listen to English stories, repeating words and phrases until they felt natural. Slowly, the fear started to fade. The first day was the hardest. I listened to a story, but the words didn't make sense. I felt lost, but I didn't give up. I kept listening, even when it felt like nothing was working. And then something happened. On the second day, I started to recognize some of the words I had heard before. It wasn't much, but it was progress. By the third day, I noticed something amazing. I could understand more of the story, not just the words, but the meaning behind them. I began to realize that listening wasn't just about hearing words. It was about connecting them to ideas, emotions, and experiences. Every word I understood made me feel a little more confident. On the 4th day, I tried speaking out loud. At first, it was difficult. My tongue felt heavy, and I stumbled over the words. But with every try, I got better. I was still afraid of making mistakes, but I kept reminding myself. Every mistake was a step forward. I had learned that mistakes were part of the process, not something to fear. The 5th day was when I felt a shift. I spoke more clearly, more confidently. I could hear myself improving, and it made me feel proud. The fear was gone. It wasn't about being perfect anymore. It was about communication, and with communication, everything else started to feel easier. By the 6th day, I was speaking with confidence. I could hold conversations, and the words came more naturally. I had developed a deep understanding of the language, not just through learning vocabulary, but through stories. English had stopped being a foreign language. It had become a part of me. And on the 7th day, I was no longer the person who was afraid to speak. I had transformed. The journey wasn't easy, but it was worth it. I had learned that English isn't just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about expressing yourself, about connecting with others, and about not giving up when things feel hard. This transformation wasn't just about language. It was about the struggle, It was about the sleepless nights spent listening, repeating, and trying. It was about the moments when I thought I couldn't do it, but I kept going anyway. Every challenge made me stronger. Every step forward was a victory. There were moments that made me want to cry, like when I realized that my dreams of speaking English fluently were not just dreams anymore. They were becoming a reality. It wasn't easy, but it was possible. Hard work, persistence, and listening. These were the keys to my success. Now, I speak English confidently. I can share my thoughts, my ideas, and my feelings with the world. It's not because I'm perfect. It's because I didn't give up. I understood that the journey to confidence isn't about perfection. It's about progress. As I continued my journey, I realized that every day was an opportunity to improve. The struggle was real, and there were moments when I felt like giving up. But deep down, I knew that every word I spoke, every sentence I formed, brought me closer to my goal. It wasn't about being flawless. It was about making progress. On the 8th day, something changed. I was no longer focused on what I didn't know. I began to see all that I had already learned. It was as if the fog had lifted, and I could finally see the path ahead clearly. I started to feel a sense of pride in my growth. I was no longer afraid of speaking, because I had learned that the more I spoke, the better I would get. One of the most important lessons I learned was that listening is a skill that takes time to develop. You don't have to understand everything. In the beginning, what matters is that you keep going. With each story you listen to, with each new word, you become more familiar with the language. Over time, the pieces of the puzzle begin to fit together. Listening helps you understand the rhythm of the language, the way words flow together. It's like learning to dance. At first you're stumbling, but eventually your movements become smooth. The secret to listening is simple. Don't force it. Let the words wash over you. Even if you don't understand everything at first, just keep listening. Your brain is absorbing more than you realize. One day, you'll hear a word you've heard before, and you'll understand it. That moment is magic. It's the moment when everything clicks. You've been learning all along, even when you didn't know it. There were times when I felt frustrated, when I felt like I wasn't making enough progress. But I kept reminding myself that every small step mattered. It wasn't about rushing to the finish line. It was about enjoying the process. Every day I told myself that I was better than the day before. The progress might have been small, but it was real. Speaking English used to feel like a dream. It felt like something I would never be able to achieve. But as I kept going, I realized that it was possible. The dream was becoming a reality. I had put in the hard work, and I was starting to see the results. I was no longer the person who was afraid to speak. I was becoming someone who could confidently express myself in English. There were moments that touched my heart deeply. I remember the first time I had a conversation with someone in English without feeling nervous. I could hear the words flowing easily, and I felt a sense of accomplishment that words can't describe. It was a moment I had dreamed about for so long, and now it was happening. It was a moment that made me realize that all the struggles, all the hard work had been worth it. The journey wasn't easy, but it was beautiful. It was a journey of self-discovery, of breaking through the barriers that had once held me back. And as I looked back on those 7 days, I realized that the real lesson wasn't just about learning English. It was about learning to believe in myself. The road to fluency is long, and there will be challenges along the way, but don't let that stop you. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow. The key is persistence. Keep listening, keep practicing, and keep pushing forward. Even when it feels hard, remember that every step you take brings you closer to your goal. I was able to achieve what seemed impossible because I didn't give up. And now I want to tell you, you can do it too. The path may seem difficult, but every moment of struggle will be worth it. There is no shortcut to success, but there is always a way forward. The only thing you need to do is keep moving. As I continue to improve my English, I look back with gratitude. I remember the moments of doubt, the moments of frustration, but also the moments of joy when I realized I was getting better. Every story I listened to, every word I learned, brought me closer to my goal. And now, I'm no longer the person who hesitated to speak. I'm the person who embraces the challenge and takes pride in the progress. The heart of learning English is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about falling, getting back up, and continuing to move forward. It's about embracing the struggle, knowing that with every step you take, you're becoming better. You're not just learning a language. You're learning to overcome fear, to believe in yourself, and to speak your truth.